Hey, has this ever happened to you? I want to make a Live2D model, but it's way too easy and straightforward. I sure hope there was a way to make my life way harder. Well, you're in luck, my friend. Hi, I'm PP Slayer, and today I'll be showing you how to make a transforming Live2D model. So, as you saw in the title, today I'll be showing you how to make a transforming Live2D model. First of all, you're probably wondering what that means, and I'll show you right now. With the press of one button, I can make my model turn from this to this. And let's have a closer look. As you can observe here, the movement is all the same. Everything is tracking in one part, but it's technically two models in one. So I will be showing you how I made this happen. I mean, obviously not all the parts are the same, but first and foremost, I'll show you what I did in my Clip Studio Paint file. Clip Studio Paint is my program of choice, but whatever drawing program you like, that will be it. I will not be going in depth over how to cut or draw for Live2D, as I have a stream on that. You could go check that out. I'll just be showing you strictly how to make this transformation happen, as if you already know the basic of Live2D. So let's go. Let me show you. So in here I have my model, and on the side you could see all of my folders. But in here I have a separate folder which is called the Slayer body, which is our transformation. The way that I made these is that I have everything separated like you would for a normal model. I have my hair front, my head, and then in this other folder I did the exact same thing. I have my head copy, my hair back. So basically I just drew everything over it. But what's important here for this to work is that it needs to be a pretty perfect overlay. And let me show you what I mean. You see, when I slide these, even though Slayer is a bit thicker, as you can observe, it is still very much overlaid with my PP model. And as you can see, the head is pretty much a perfect copy. This is very important so that you don't have to rig everything twice. Now that we're done with that, we can go over to my Live2D file. Here we are. And in here, I'll show you how my expressions work. As you can see, I have everything rigged. Here's all of my deformers. There's a lot of them. But we're gonna go over here in my expressions. And as you can see, I have all of my toggles over here, my expressions. And one of them is Slayer, which basically is the expressions to change the entire model. The way I did this is that every single mesh I will tap on here, you will see it's active in this key form. So basically what you're gonna do, you're gonna go all the way here, select everything for PP and key it here. And when you go to here, you make it invisible. And I actually prepared a model of a test file just to show you this. As you can see, it is not the best, but it does the work. So we're gonna make a new parameter called transformation. Ignore the spelling on that. And we're gonna set this to 0 and this to 1. This is the basic parameter settings for any expressions. And then in here, we're gonna select all of our meshes and activate them. So this is basically what I did on the other model, but on a higher scale. And now we're just gonna select the two for our transformations here and make them, on this point, on the first point, we make these invisible. And then we select these two and make them invisible at this point. So now you see, basically this is how it works. This is the basics of a transformation itself. But now I'm going to show you the more important part, and I'm going to go to my physics settings for that actually. The fact that everything is tracking the same. As you can see, this follows my cursor. If I go to Slayer, it's the exact same movement. This is what's the important part, because you don't want to have to rig this twice, right? You don't want to have to rig the body for PP, then rig the body for Slayer. You want them in one thing. And the way you do this is that every single part, you just put them in the same deformer. We have my torso XY here. Let me turn on my deformers. We have my torso XY, but this torso XY contains both the torso for Slayer and the torso for PP. So when this deformer moves in my body, let me find out in here, when this deformer moves here, it will move everything that is inside it. Therefore, it will also move my Slayer body. So that's the basic of how you rig everything, and it will all be rigged together, even though it's basically two separate models. And yeah, I've never seen a tutorial on this, so I thought I'd just make one myself. But now that's the easy part. If you're a rigger or a Live2D enthusiast, you probably figure it out all by yourself. But what comes next is the important part that I had to figure out myself. As you know, certain parts you're not gonna be rigging with deformers. Your mouth, for example, you have to rig your mouth with the mesh itself. In order for your mouth forms to work, there it is. In order for this to work, you need to use the mesh itself. Is the easiest way to do it with a pass deformer. I think you could do it with a deformer if you wanted to, but that's incredibly hard and I would not recommend it. It is way easier to do it with a pass deformer. So the way I did this, the way I made both of them track at the same time, is that I used glue in a very non-conventional way. Let me show you. We go here and this tracks basically the same thing, and I didn't have to rig this twice. Even though it's using the mesh itself to track, I didn't have to rig this twice, because basically what I did is that I glued every single part of this together with my other mouth. They're glued together, which means they're gonna be moving together. And I'm gonna be demonstrating that on my fake model, on my test model here. I'm gonna be demonstrating how to do it. So you have your mouth. So make a deformer for them. I'm gonna call this mouth. Ignore my spelling. Bro, stop. There we go. We have my mouth, and we're gonna drag the other mouth as well inside here. So we have both of them in here. So now we're gonna go on. This is my mouth for PP. They usually would need to be named, but you know, I'm gonna give it a mesh. Yeah, TomTom does that when your shapes are a little bit weird, but that's fine. And we'll just use a small one. We're gonna give this a nice pat deformer. Okay, that's too many points. Jesus, don't do that. We're gonna just do it like this. It doesn't matter the quality of this because I'm just using it to demonstrate something. So we're gonna go into our mouth. Where's my mouth? Mouth form. I'm gonna add this here, and we're just gonna do the simplest, weirdest rig ever. You just make it smile, you make it sad. There we are. And now you have this for PP. But then you'll see when you do your transformation, it doesn't move anymore. And that's precisely what I'm gonna show you how to do here. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna select both of your mouth, and you're gonna double click this. And the way gluing works is that you need the exact same mesh. Normally you would just erase the middle part, but here we're just gonna take the eraser tool and erase everything, erase every single point. Then you will have to manually do this. It doesn't take that long because Live2D has an auto connect function. You will see it later. But yeah, you're just gonna do your mesh the way you see fit. There's many tutorials on how to do your mesh properly, but the way I do it is just I put that, then I do one line in the middle, I mean at least for this shape. And you have to make sure that these lines here are this dark green, because when they are this dark green, it basically means that that's where the two meshes overlap. So now we're just gonna go here, click auto connect. There we go. And now with both of the meshes selected, we're gonna go back here and go bind. So that adds our glue. Now with the glue tool, click OK. We should be able to glue everything together. Oh yeah, you need to select everything here, my bad. You need to select everything, and then bind. There you go, that's it. And now you can go to that, and you're just gonna you're gonna make everything be active. You're gonna make sure this is this kind of green color, so you have to use both that and that. And now, okay, so important thing that I forgot to mention is before you do your transformation, you're supposed to rig your mouth. Your mouth has to be rigged before, so that you don't have to do it twice. So we're just gonna remove these from this, which is fine for now because we're just gonna add them later. So now we have this glued, and the issue here is that during this point the mouth was rigged to not move. So now we can see, since the two parts are glued together, if we now take both of these and add them to the transformation and adjust the opacity on that, because this is supposed to be visible, now you have a mouth rigging for both of them. And you can basically do this to follow everything, including on the eyes, but you just have to be careful that you do the mouth and eye rigging, like you do all the rigging on your meshes before you add this, because this has to be on the mesh itself, otherwise these deformers are not gonna work. And I will demonstrate how that works as well. So we're gonna make a head deformer for these, and head XY, and we're gonna put the mouth inside the head as it should be. And now with our head XY, we can get out of here and just put an angle X and just deform this as you would deform any other thing. Just make her look to the right if you want. The reason why this is moving a bit weird is because of my mesh, but ignore it, it doesn't really matter. So now we can do effect motion, okay. And now when you turn to transformation, obviously it's going to follow it because your deformer is following that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how you make a transforming VTuber model. At least that's how I made it. Obviously this is just what I demonstrated, but on a way bigger scale. So hopefully you found this helpful, and yeah, I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, just ask me down in the comments. As always, I do not have an outro, so I'm just gonna end the video.